Buddy, thanks so much for popping in to talk to me about LinkedIn with me. And yeah, let me get this set up really quick. I do have a presentation, so let's just see if this works.
It's okay.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm ready. Now I can share it. And if everybody can just let me, do you see that? And are you?
Yes, I see it, yeah.
Perfect. So I'm just going to dive in because I guess I only got to like 10 minutes now. So we're talking about LinkedIn today. And basically, I want to walk away with this presentation with you on your basic framework on how you can get started with LinkedIn. Is it the right thing for you? And basically how to get started. So that is the goal with the presentation today. Okay. So a little bit about me. I already introduced myself, but just want to put it up there on paper so you can see it, is I am a B2B content marketing strategist. So that is what I do every day in my agency, MTC, the content agency. We work with B2B customers all over the world. We are based here in Berlin, Germany. And over the last year, I've been specializing more in LinkedIn marketing. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see that I am a lover of LinkedIn. I've really been working on the platform, trying to figure out the algorithm, how best to create a strategy, etc. I really grow your brand presence, but also your lead generation on the platform. So that's what I've been working on in the last year. So we're also doing that within our agency, offering packages for LinkedIn. And put business aside, I am from the United States, from California. I heard quite a few people are from California, so that's great to hear that we have a few neighbors in our circle right here. So by the end of the talk, I want you to be able to walk away with knowing if LinkedIn is even the right platform for you. There's a lot of social media platforms out there, right? I want you to know if it is the perfect place for you to be building and spending your time on. I want you to know how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, because this is a key element of driving and finding leads, finding your audience on the platform. I want you to have an idea of how to create your 3-pillar content strategy, because this is going to help you get known on the platform. It's going to help you make connections for your business. And then lastly, a few best practices. Okay. So before we go any further, this involves audience participation. So hopefully you have access to the chat. And I just would be curious, what have you heard about LinkedIn? Maybe you heard something about why it's so popular. Maybe your friends are on the platform, but I'm just curious, what have you heard about LinkedIn, and are you using it already? That would be curious to know. LinkedIn rocks. Yes, I for sure agree with you on that. Perfect. Professional connections, headhunting. Yes, the profile is really important. Yes, repurposing is a great strategy to find clients. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so we sound like we are familiar with LinkedIn, and it's a good starting point for us. Professional connections. Perfect. Thank you for sharing. So by the end of this presentation, I already gave you some insight, but basically I want to give you 4 simple steps to getting started with LinkedIn and making sure that you're going to be successful in the platform. So first, we want to determine if it's the right platform for you. Should you even be spending time on it? Next, we're going to talk about optimization, your content strategy, and then some best practices. So is it the right platform for you? So LinkedIn is growing. It's kind of crazy how many people are on the platform at the moment. There's over 760 million users, and it feels like every day somebody is creating more content. People are getting on there, people are creating content, it's growing, the community is growing. So I think the active user base has really been growing this last year, especially during COVID and the pandemic. So this is a great platform to kind of be excited and in the middle of the noise too. So if you're that type of person who enjoys to kind of see something growing, LinkedIn is a great platform for that at the moment. It is a platform for B2B audiences. So the tone of the platform is more professional. What you share is more educational content. It's not necessarily a place to share your cat like you would on Facebook, or maybe it is okay to be personal, but there's this barrier and guidelines on LinkedIn because it is in the end a B2B business networking platform. So that is just something to keep in mind while you're creating content. And I always like to tell people, because in any social media platform, it is a lot of work, especially as a solopreneur or as a small business owner, to do one platform really well, just one social media platform. So that's why I encourage people to really think about, is it the right platform for them? And then to focus all their attention on it as they can. Oh no. Okay, that was weird. Okay, so talking about optimizing your personal profile. So what goes into optimizing your personal profile? So we start with the personal profile because the personal profile is the centerpiece of your entire LinkedIn marketing that you're going to do on the platform. The personal profile is the first thing that people are going to come and look at when they see your name pop up in their search results. Maybe they see your content through a hashtag, etc. So your personal profile is really your centerpiece. And it's a centerpiece to tell people exactly who you are and what you do, your value proposition, the services you provide, but it's also a place to show your personality. And so put that aside, personal profile is very important, but how do you optimize your profile to be found? Because when it comes to your profile, it's not just a matter of writing great content or having a nice picture or a banner, etc. Those are all very important. There's also a really great SEO component to it. And this is because the way that seems to be that people are searching for people to help them, etc., on LinkedIn is through search. It's a really high important function on the platform. So optimizing your profile, for example, targeted keywords, is very important. And so that is a key component, and to going and just making sure that your profile is the very best that it can possibly be, so that you can be found for your services and also in your industry. So targeted keywords would be, for example, your services, what you do, your industry, and then also maybe the industries that you serve, for example. Then your unique value proposition is a key important part to put in your profile. And then, yeah, overall, having a very well optimized and well-written profile is going to help you appear professional and knowledgeable in your industry. So quick tips on how to improve your personal profile. Maybe this is something that you can screenshot and it will be helpful for you later. There really is quite a few little check marks that you go through. So I always like to start off my clients from the top and go to the bottom. So what needs to happen on your profile at the very top? Making sure that you have a fantastic or a very nice looking profile picture, that it's, professional, straightforward, etc. You don't know how many terrible pictures I see on LinkedIn. It does happen. So just think professional, make sure people can see your face, etc. Starting from the top also, your headline is really important. Telling people what you do and how you help them is important. Some people say it's a help statement. That is something that you could kind of form that headline around, but also keywords in the headline is very important because it's going to help you with search. So moving down from the headline, you want to use all that real estate up at the top because that is the most important. That's the first thing that people are going to see when they pop onto your page, right? So you want the header to be well done. You want the picture at the top, the profile line that I just talked about, your name, and the picture and everything. So That could mean a lot of things for different people. For example, if you look at mine, I've even optimized my picture banner at the very top to be telling people more about my value proposition and also to be in brand with my agency. So make sure you're using all the real estate on your profile wisely. Then the introduction comes next, and the introduction is really your hook. It is the way to tell people about your personality, your services, the industries that you're in, which is important for SEO again, and also a call to action to get them to make some sort of action. Maybe that's to call you, maybe that's to go and listen to your podcast or read your blog. Whatever your call to action is, I recommend one, maybe no more than two in your profile. And so in your profile section, it should be a nice introduction. Storytelling really works. This is really where copywriting comes into the picture, and making sure that the way that you are talking to your client is to them. It's with them as the centerpiece of the content, and it's not so much me, me, me. So that's kind of a quick takeaway on how to write the copy for your for that section. So moving down from the introduction, the featured section is a really cool section of the LinkedIn profile. I highly recommend to use it because it's a way to show your top work. It's a way to give a link to your email opt-in or your services pages. And so what I see a lot of people do is they will share a link to, for example, their latest blog post or their top service page, or what they also do is they will save their featured posts. So if they have a post that is really high performing, they will save that post in that section. And it's also a way to get more eyeballs on that post and more engagement. So the feature section is a great tool, and it's really fun to use. It doesn't have to stay stagnant. It can always be evolving. The next portion, my tip on the employee history section. This is, I see, the most underused section of the personal profile, because this section, the employee history, is a way, of course, to tell your employment history, but it's also SEO optimized. And I recommend that, let's say 90% of it should be all about your current business and the services you provide. So if you go to my profile, for example, you'll see that I've actually used the feature in a way to where the transitions in the job are different services. So you'll see all my services listed, a little details about what they are, some case studies, telling my stories about how I've helped people, etc. And then even some links to certain specific case study pages or profile pages. So use that employee history to tell your service story, your business story in more detail. It's going to be good on conveying your value proposition to your customer, but also to help you with SEO and to be found. So a lot of things are working right there. And then the last tip for the personal profile is 3 top skills. So at the very bottom of the page is where you can tell people about your skill sets. What are you specialized in? You can actually you can add a lot, but only 3 can be featured. So basically that will pop them to the top and it won't fold. So that will be the first 3 that people see. I highly recommend that those 3 skills are your most top services, or your most specialized services, or your top service packages. So they're skills around those areas. Okay. So moving on from the profile to content strategy. And just a quick note, there's a lot of different things happening on LinkedIn. In order to be successful, I think it's a combination of great profile, consistent quality content, and then messaging. So you have 3 different portions of really being successful on LinkedIn. So we just talked about profile. Now we're going to talk about content strategy. And content strategy is your way to engage and build an audience on the platform, to tell people more about you and what you specialize in, what you are an expert in. It's a way to build your personal brand, your thought leadership. So when you're approaching your content strategy, so let's say you are going to build a content strategy to tell people more about you. I start in 3 different pillars. So one pillar of content should be about your core service. The next pillar should be talking about people about how to convince and convert them. So basically testimonials, etc. And then the next one is entertaining them. And this is a key portion on LinkedIn. It is a social media platform, telling people that you are interesting, that you're nice to work with, etc. So I would suggest to screenshot this because it's going to help you build out your content strategy for LinkedIn. And then best practices, because I know that I am probably running out of time, but best practices, what is working on LinkedIn? Now, what's really cool about LinkedIn is the organic algorithm is really great at the moment. It is an opportunity for you to write great content and for it to be found. So that's why LinkedIn is so popular at the moment. But what is working as far as best practices? Best times to post, I always recommend people post before 10 and after. So basically when people are on their social media. So think in the minds of your target customer. When are they on social media? I recommend posting at least 3 times a week. But here, consistency is key. How consistent can you be on a weekly basis and showing up for your audience as far as frequency? What type of content types are working? Text post, slide post, and poll post are the top types of posts that we have found that get the highest engagement, the most comments, etc. And then kind of like some insider algorithm tips. The algorithm is always changing, like I just said, but avoiding text within your context, within your content of your text is key because LinkedIn wants people to stay on their platform, right? So they don't want links within your content because that's going to take your person off the platform. So that's really important. Another is getting people to engage on your content within the first 2 hours or within the first 3 hours. That's basically telling LinkedIn that your content is great, that they need to boost it higher up in the algorithm. So encouraging people to post or to comment on your post within 3 hours is very important. So those are just some quick tips, some best practices for you to get started on LinkedIn after you've defined your content strategy. Take a screenshot of this. I think it'll be very helpful for you and what to do and what not to do.
Fantastic. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So just a quick recap and yeah, am I out of time?
Oh, no, you can definitely recap. You're good.
Okay, so recap everything we talked about: personal profile, content creation, content consistency, and best practices. It really is all the components of putting that together to make sure that you are successfully working on LinkedIn and that you're getting the most out of it for your business. And the very last piece of the puzzle, this is my sales pitch to you, I'm plugging myself in, is I understand that all of this is probably super busy or super overwhelming for you. You're super busy, that it's hard to keep it consistent. So just keep in mind that I actually provide this as a service for small businesses and entrepreneurs. So if you're looking for a done for you LinkedIn marketing package, content creation, or consulting, reach out to me and we can talk further about that. Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And yeah, did we have time to do some questions?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Can I ask you to stop sharing your screen? Sorry, I got tongue tied there. Thank you. So firstly, a huge round of applause to Megan. Thank you so much. That was fantastic.
Okay.
So I actually definitely have a question myself, but does anyone have any questions? Natalie. You're on mute, Natalie. You're totally on mute.
Okay, I didn't use Zoom all that much in Corona, so I know this whole mute thing was like a joke the whole time, but like I wasn't on Zoom that much. Okay, so Megan, that was amazing. I loved it. My question is, so yeah, I'm an Instagram strategist, and I feel there's ways we can like repurpose that content from Instagram to LinkedIn. I'm curious if you have any tips on that. I mean, listen, that strategy is a strategy we use on all our platforms as well, right? Like educate, entertain. Do you think it's cool to just literally take some of that content, rewrite the words a little bit and throw it onto LinkedIn?
Yes and no. So I get this question quite a lot because it's a lot of work to create content, right? So we want to repurpose it. So when you're repurposing it onto LinkedIn, adjust it to the audience on LinkedIn. That I think is the biggest thing. LinkedIn is a B2B platform. You have to adjust the tonality. Instagram, you can be a little bit more colorful. You can have more emojis, et cetera, et cetera. LinkedIn is more, in my opinion, educational driven and more, what is the value that I'm providing? How to post, educational post. These are the things that people are looking for. They're looking for case studies. They basically are looking for ways to improve themselves in their professional career. So change the tone, change the direction of the copy, even the structure of the copy helps too. You're welcome to go look on my profile on how I structure things. I do think it's a slightly different than Instagram.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Rachel.
I have a two-part question.
Sure.
One, I wrote this a little bit earlier, but in countries where English is not the national language and you're looking to network with local businesses, is English still the go-to language for LinkedIn overall? And I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about, if there are certain sectors more than others that use LinkedIn. So for example, I work in mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering, in comparison to things like high tech and marketing and things like that, if mental health really has as much of a presence on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so this goes back to my first question is, where's your audience and is it the right platform for you? I would say for your first question, maybe it's not the right audience for you because, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
That's okay. I'm going to interject to say there's amazing amount of mental health and health
I'm
on
looking
LinkedIn.
I'm looking for B2B mental health.
Okay,
connection.
yes, I would say if you're in the B2B space, you're looking for people who are in the mental health, like whoever that persona is, it is the platform for it. Make sure that you craft your content and your profile specifically towards that buyer persona so that you attract them specifically. The first question was about language, right?
Yes.
So it just came back to me. And the first question about language, it is, I think, a highly Americanized English platform at the moment, I'll be honest. But I know a lot of Germans, for example, who in Berlin are using it. They post in their own profile or in their own native language. It goes back to your audience. Who are you attracting? Who are you nurturing? If they are, speaking your local language, write in your local language if that's your target client.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions, Dana?
Am I muted? No.
No, I can hear you.
So can we schedule posts? I mean, can I write a bunch of them on Sunday and then schedule them too? Because we can do it on Facebook, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it easier to.
Yeah, so scheduling post, that's the question?
Yeah.
Yes and no. LinkedIn right now, I don't believe has a scheduling opportunity in the platform. They're kind of behind in that, but you can use external sources to post onto LinkedIn. I use the platform called Publer, Publer. I love it. I recommend it. Just something to keep in mind, there is the conversation around on LinkedIn that by posting from an external platform, it does devalue your reach. I don't know if that's true. That's what the gurus on LinkedIn say. Where's the key going to be? That is keeping the conversation going and getting people to comment and like on your piece within 3 hours. That'll be the key.
Perhaps time for one more question if anybody has. Okay, perfect. Megan, I have a very quick question for you. What are your thoughts on LinkedIn pods?
Debatable.
Yeah, that's how I feel also.
Yes, a lot of people, let's say a lot of these gurus who call themselves gurus on LinkedIn hate LinkedIn pods because why do they hate them? Because most people who get into pods, and especially the big, huge ones of 200 or 300 through these like external platforms are posting things like great post. Oh, that's awesome. Super unauthentic and surface level. And I think that's the difference is I'm actually in a pod here based in Berlin, but they're all local people that I know and that we're friends with. It's my networking group. And I think that's great because we all care about each other's success on LinkedIn and we share content and comments that matter. So for example, you could create a LinkedIn pod for this group And I think it would be a great opportunity for people to engage and help each other on the platform.
But do you think that there's any, do you think that the LinkedIn algorithm will constantly see if the same people are replying to the same posts?
It's going to do two things. It's going to, yes, put it in front of more people that are engaging, but it's also going to put it more in front of the people who are your target clients. And the key there is to always be building your network with your key customers and clients. It's not just building people who are, for example, other marketers like me. It's people who you are wanting to do business with. So by people engaging in pods, for example, if you did it here, it would put your content in front of them too.
One last question, if I may. Hashtags in comments. Do you find that that boosts posts or has any positive effect on the reach of a post?
I have not heard anything. I have not tested it personally, to be honest. I have also not heard that it does anything specifically. Now, just hashtags in the post and not in the comments, I would say no more than 3.
Right. So the begin. What I didn't ask was is that let's say you put your 3 or your 4, the main ones in the post, but then there are some very, very popular hashtags. For example, and I work in mortgages and financing. So for example, I don't want to put realtor or real estate agent in the post for a specific reason, but it's a very, very popular hashtag. If I put it in the comments, is it beneficial or not beneficial?
I would put it in the post because what happens is LinkedIn will actually, the first 2 to 3, they will put it in the URL of your LinkedIn post, which is going to help you with search in those sections. So my thing about hashtags really quick, one is a broad hashtag with lots of following. So maybe that's entrepreneurship, for example.
Right.
And the other 2 or 1 is something very specific and niche towards your audience and your buyer persona.
Right. Perfect.